My brothers and sisters, let's get down to business. I'm called Doshanko, otherwise known as He at the Beginning, and welcome to my temple, where I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be showing the gameplay in which how to get to wave 50 or above on the map of Subzero. Now this map was, at first very tricky, to find a strategy, simply because there's not a lot of spots in which you can camp that the enemies would allow you to go for long waves. There is only one area of the map which kind of gives you some leeway to run, but that's mainly in the mid 40s, and I only take that route whenever I get overwhelmed when I'm in the other spot. But there is one spot on the map where you can get to really long waves, presuming you're attentive enough and quick enough to react, and you have to have trigger happy in order to get to that point. Now I know the first gameplay in which I showed on YouTube when I got to wave 50 plus on Subzero, I didn't have trigger happy, but that was like kind of by the skin of my teeth, and that's not a regular occurrence. But the record that I wanted to show on here, I managed to get to wave 54, which surprised me. But I just wanted to make sure I showed the strategy in which and how I got there. So with that said, let's roll the tape.
Alright, so to provide some commentary for this gameplay, I'm just going to just watch, because I hardly remember what happened in this gameplay, despite the fact that this was recent. Um, this map was one of the harder ones. It's not as hard as Gold Rush, because there is a spot in which you can actually settle once you do get trigger happy, as opposed to, Gold Rush, where I had trigger happy and I still had to run, and I didn't have marathon when I surpassed wave 50. So it it really made me kind of question what I actually needed to get above wave 50 on certain maps. This one, it has a mixture. And what I mean by that is, you have to balance between having a shotgun and also having a ranged weapon to take care of dogs or enemies that might be traveling towards you. Um, the thing is, um, I needed to use the Wild Widow. I always make sure I shut that door whenever I go there, because it's inevitable that I'm gonna go there. Um, it's like, this map is not bad, but it is severely lackluster. Like, excuse me. I still got that cough. Um, and I'll try to make it not as frequent as I did on the Dynasty gameplay. But yeah, I'm still kind of sick. Um, I'm not too sick. Um, and sometimes, you'll see when I go on the higher waves, when I feel like either I'm too far away from the building in which I want to go, or if it's a dog wave, it's best to kind of like set up right here, because for whatever reason, the dog waves gave me more trouble on this map than I was expecting. And the reason for that is because they were swarming my area, pause, they were swarming the building so fast, and I couldn't like get shots on them, combined with the fact that there were also riot shielders trying to corner me, and there's not much room to kind of leave a lot of distance between it. So for dog waves, I tend to just, stay back here and like take care of most of the enemies, which it's kind of counterproductive. Like, it feels counterproductive for a player like me, because um, I would have to use a kill streak in order to, cover my tracks as I'm running. But, a normal player would just, like, maybe use as many kill streaks as possible. For me, I'm trying to preserve kill streaks because I play a certain way where I don't need to be dependent on kill streaks all that much. I kind of space them out between waves. If it's on like the high 40 waves, then I kind of, start to use my kill streaks more, as you'll see that like the outright gun power is not enough to take out most of these enemies here. Because these enemies are bugged, and they are incredible. They're like, imagine, what is it, 60 plus enemies that you're facing, right? 60 plus bots, and they're on veteran difficulty. Like, so imagine you're facing 60 plus veteran bots, and you're crammed into a tight space, and you're trying to kill all of them at once. You're just not going to be able to do it without some type of kill streak. Um, Even if you're a modder, I mean, like, well, if you're a modder, you probably could, like, turn on fucking God mode and, probably survive it to 100 on any map, let alone, like, this map. But, if you're a skilled player like me, and you're trying to actually do this legit, then, you know, trying to find your strategy to work despite the game's design, it's like, it's not groundbreaking, but it's still very, very impressive.
Large hostile force approaching.
As you can see, I stay back here. I don't go towards the building which I want to go to until like I have certain perks or certain weapons. Well, no, it's a mix of both. Um, but I made sure I had the MTAR because again, you're going to be facing a lot of ranged opponents, especially in the higher waves, because it's inevitable that you're going to get overwhelmed in any of the spots that you're going to try to do. I think when I was playing this map with Jared, we got like easily up until like wave 47 until we lagged out. But this was when we were playing on PS3 where the frame rates per second weren't really aligning with our network speed. Um, but I remember, like we weren't even in the building that I used for this particular gameplay. I was we were in a different building and we were just running around the map, um, just trying to take out these guys. It's easier with a teammate to do the run and gun strategy because at least on this map you have someone to cover your back just in case you get shot at or if you have dogs that are trailing behind you and you don't have marathon. I mean that could be very useful, but when you're playing solo, it's all on you to cover all of your bases. And more often than not, somebody is gonna, you know, be inexperienced and try the run and gun strategy and get completely washed because they do not know the routes that these bots will take, or they don't know how laggy they are on the higher waves because they never got into the higher waves by themselves. So, this is just a challenge for all of those players that still, like those few players that still play Safeguard out there that actually do have all the maps. I know, like, that's a dime a dozen, and I'm not expecting hardly anybody to still, like, do this, but I'm doing this so you don't have to, okay? If you do want to, that's on you. But I just love playing survival mode on different types of maps because I love the strategies that each map can kind of force me to have, and it's not a one size fits all formula. Each map has a very different strategy. It might be similar in regards to like what is needed to get there, and certain buildings. Like there are going to be certain maps where there's going to have buildings where you can actually station yourself inside of for the long haul. But for a map like this, I mean, you have that, but it takes a long time to set up to get to that point. And more often than not, you're going to need to be used to running and being able to take out ranged opponents. So you have to learn to adapt for maps like this. Now, as you can see, I have a sentry gun. Like I try to call in as many kill streaks as possible, but still retain the 3 that I originally had. Forgive me. And for whatever reason, I placed my sentry gun over there. I never do that. But, since I was kind of like right here, I was like, you know what, fuck it. This is not the strategy. So I recommend not doing this, especially on the higher waves, because it just leaves you wide out in the open. The only reason I had the confidence to do this is because, again, I have a sentry gun and I also have a vulture that are covering me. So it just takes out the enemies faster. This map is small, so the kill streaks are going to be very, very useful. Because there's not many places for the enemies to run to before they can get to you. So you should be able to use like each kill streak for about roughly like 45 to like a minute, 45 to a minute, 45 seconds to a minute. And as you can see, I hold on to my sentry gun here. This gameplay was relatively short. I made it like to wave 54 in a short period of time. Compared to my gameplays on Showtime and Gold Rush, well, I know on Showtime it kind of varies because there's a spot in which you can actually camp with your like with trigger happy. You can pass waves extremely fast, even faster than I did on this map. But again, the circumstances behind that, it's like because the game did not give me trigger happy until the wave I actually fucking died. I had to complete things the long way, and it was a bit more tedious. I had only 2 shotguns and my kill streaks, and sometimes I didn't even have kill streaks, so I had to depend on my 2 shotguns to take out like hordes and hordes of dogs. I couldn't even stay in one place for very long, otherwise I would have been completely swarmed. Um, and as you can see, I'm just tossing out the IEDs. I'll try to make sure that I get as many of the crates as possible. And this is the building where I'm going to be stationed for the long haul. I know there's going to be a couple circumstances that force me outside of this, but for the most part, being in this corner and watching over both the window and the doorway is the main objective. And with Trigger Happy, this becomes all the much more easier. But this is kind of, it's a nerve-wracking strategy because when you don't have Trigger Happy, you kind of have to really watch for like the riot shielders. The riot shielders are going to give you the most trouble on like in this spot. The dogs, they'll give you some trouble, but they'll mainly only distract you when the riot shielder tries to sneak up on you, or if you try to fire a shot at the riot shielders. Will sometimes like just crouch like and stay crouched in a way where you can't target their feet, and it pisses me off. Because it did that when I was playing on Tremor. When I was playing on Tremor and I had a strategy in which I had Trigger Happy and a shotgun, like there was one riot shielder that legit just did not let me fire at his feet, and it fucked me over so much that I tried to call my squad mate, and my squad mate got immediately fucked right after I did. So the strategy was null and void after that. I still am working on trying to get to wave 50 for Tremor because I know I can do it. If I can do it for all the other maps, I can do it for Tremor. Like that's a no-brainer for me. And the fact that I actually managed to casually get above wave 40 playing into Tremor, that just gives me hope. And I know that the next time I try, or next couple times I try it, I should be able to reach my goal. But again, that map is just so tedious that it was really tough. That map is built so much differently because unlike this map, Tremor is a map where you don't have necessarily one spot that you can settle. Even when you do have Trigger Happy, you still have to kind of run about the map and try to do what you need to do. But there is some merit involved in it. It's imperative that whenever you have a sentry gun, when you're stationed up in here, you want to have it stationed where it's able to watch between both the door and the window. If it's unable to watch both, you're kind of hindering the effectiveness of its long line of sight. And it really helps with the riot shielders too. Like when the riot shielders try to turn around and try to corner you, the sentry gun can just shoot them in the back. It's really useful. Again, like I never place my sentry guns right in front of me. I always have them facing either my flank or an area in which I'm not. And that's the key to surviving on these types of like maps for this game mode. You can't survive with the sentry gun right in front of you. Like you could on Modern Warfare 3 survival mode. It just doesn't work like that. And there are a few players that actually mastered that kind of technique of just being able to place your sentry guns in different locations that cover a wide area away from yourself. Not only is it quicker to complete waves that way, but it's also just more effective, and you know, you would think it would seem like common sense, but at the same time, like there's not enough people that play this mode enough for anything to really be common. Especially if they try to play by themselves, they don't really play by themselves. They like to play like with 1 to 3 more people, and I'm not knocking them for that. I mean, this game is much more fun when you're doing teams, but I feel like it's so much more challenging, and the rush is so unique when you're playing by yourself, because again, you don't have any idea where your enemies are going to be coming from unless you're in a spot where they cannot target you from behind. And from there, you kind of have to pick your spots and be very strategic in your approach. Yep. And with melee challenges for this map, they're really bittersweet. I mean, when enemies jump through that window, you can use that as an opportunity when they're locked in that animation to jump to kind of, you know, melee them as they come along. But you have to make sure that the doorway area is clear first, and that can be really tricky because sometimes enemies can pop in there at the most randomest of times. So I recommend just waiting until you see like the orange highlighted enemies, which signifies the end of the wave. That way you can, you know, pick them off, either getting 1 to 2 kills per end of the wave. And what I like about the melee challenges, albeit it's a bit too much, is it like the field order is in your power to actually, you know, hold on to it for as long as possible to complete. So if you're on a wave and you know, you get this challenge, as tedious as it is, you can still control when you get to complete it. It's not like the kill streak challenge or the equipment challenge. You know, none of that. I'd argue the headshot, but even the headshot one you can complete accidentally. But for the melee challenge, that one is completely on purpose. Like, there's no accident in regards to that. So, you know, that's just me. And as you can see, Sentry Gun did a whole lot of work there. You know, once you actually find a strategy for a lot of these maps, they become a lot more fun to play. And look at that, I got trigger happy. And you knew I was not gonna let that go. That was the holy grail. That was what I was trying to achieve for the longest time. And I knew I was not gonna let that go. And, you know, I had the sentry gun watching over my flank because of the dogs. And I grabbed the MSTS, not MSTS, the MTS, my fault. Because that shotgun fires faster, and I learned to use it more than the Wild Widow when it comes to dog waves. It's not because the Wild Widow is bad or anything, but again, I feel much more comfortable firing off like more shots as opposed to just firing off one. The Wild Widow kind of like has me be a bit more lazy with my shots, and that's something I don't like. I don't like being lazy with my shots. You see, I grabbed the LMG there. But yeah, I don't like being lazy with my shots at all. I like being able to pop off an extra shot, accurate shots, but still, and just be able to get the target that way. Now you'll see whenever I have like a vulture, I tend to go in the back, but see, I had 3 sentry guns at one point, and I know I needed a vulture at some point, so I kind of had to bite the bullet. And, you know, station the sentry gun right here.
Enemy forces inbound.
But yep, it gets repetitive, but I swear to God, it will be a lot more entertaining after, you know, the wave of like 35 to like 40s, and then the 50s come up, and I'm just like, you know, like. It's fun. It's really fun trying to like see how they go about this map. Now for Veil, it's going to be a longer gameplay because I got to wave 60 on that one. and that one was tougher because I used, or it's not tougher. I used the LMG, which is something I don't like to normally use, but it worked to my advantage, and I can't fault the game for that. I think the same could be said for on Freight. I know most times people actually like to use that spot at the very top of the map, to kind of, pick off the enemies as they're jumping up, locked in that jumping animation. But here's the thing, I didn't start off with the perks that I needed, and I kind of had to do roundabout means to survive, when I didn't have the perks that I needed. So it was interesting trying to play catch up, and I know I can probably do much higher on that map, considering like I've seen people who are literally like rookies get to like wave 60 plus. So I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing? But again, their circumstances were different since they acquired the perks, that they needed first. Um, so under those same circumstances, I'm assured that I could probably either get to wave 100 or pretty close. Um, I might try that one again. I might not. I don't really have anything to prove on a map like Freight, even if I like were to not try it again, because all the other maps that I've done, fucking Bayview, like nobody's ever gotten like the high waves that I gotten on Bayview playing solo, because they don't think like I do. And if you guys have seen that gameplay on YouTube, you'll see the strategy I use is pretty trolly and very effective. It's mainly the dog waves that get people on Bayview, because in the area in which you're stationed, you're so high off the ground, of course the dogs can't get you. And, if you wait for them to just bug out and die, I mean, that's fine. But that takes so much time to do. So, like, when I think about it, I think of a way to, take out the dogs without necessarily getting myself on the ground like that. And you'll see that in its gameplay, and I'll review that to the letter. But I started off not having the perks that I needed either, and I was just barely getting by until I got trigger happy. Trigger happy really makes the difference, in the higher waves. And as you heard, there are some dogs. I always try to place the sentry gun due to the dogs because of how frequent they are, and how fast they are. It's best to have it cover a long sideline as opposed to just having a vulture cover your close range encounters. Not to say that the vulture is completely useless. I do kind of use the vulture in conjunction with the sentry gun when it comes to dog waves, but that's in the higher waves though. That's not in the beginning, 20 or even 40. So yep, team restock.
Weapon proficiency increased.
As you can see, I've been just picking off those melee field orders one by one.
Additional support granted.
Had my extra squad mate that just squalled in, and I was kind of debating, despite this map having like relatively a short frame, care packages are still relatively spaced apart pretty wide. So I made sure to stock up on any type of kill streaks that I got prior to the loot wave. I always try to make sure I have 2 left over, just in case I use up the other one. And from here I start to use my LMG. Again, I don't like using the automatic weapons on Safeguard. I should say fully automatic, because automatic, I mean semi-automatic counts as automatic. But yeah, I don't like using fully automatic weapons on Safeguard. Sure, it'll level up your support drop faster, but I like just being able to pop one shot off and keep it moving, because I'm more precise that way. Excuse me. You ever cough so hard that, it promotes incontinence throughout your body? Well, it hasn't happened to me right now, and my squad mate actually completed the knife field order. I wasn't even trying to do that. But, whatever works. I definitely needed focus. I'm actually glad I got trigger happy early because it gives me time to get the other perks that I can kind of have behind it just in case I go down.
Large hostile force
The
approaching.
squad mate, I think, died very, very early on. So if I'm not mistaken, and I kind of just used the the explosive ammo through the M27.
Vulture expired.
Yeah,
Proficiency increased.
and with trigger happy, it just yeah, the squad mate just dead. So I just used this, and I just keep shooting. And as you can see, it levels up tremendously fast. But I mainly only use the LMG when I have explosive ammo.
Weapon level increased. Weapon proficiency
As you can see,
increased.
just from one round's use, I got to 11.
Hostiles eliminated.
Wait,
Get ready for
not
the next
wave,
wave.
level
Weapon
11.
proficiency increased.
But, you know, despite that,
Team restock.
there was a wild widow right over there.
Weapon level increased.
And I was very conflicted. I wanted to use it. I really did. And I think part of me actually did use it, now that I think about it, in the later
Hostiles
waves.
inbound.
But I was really debating about using the Wild Widow because it really does help on dog waves, especially if there's like a long line of them chasing after you and you don't have that much ammo left. But at the same time, again, I don't like being lazy with my shots. And if I miss a shot, considering the time it takes to kind of recycle between each shot, it could be detrimental if I miss. So, yeah. And I made sure to place the sentry gun right over there to cover, you know, with the riot shielders trying to, you know, sneak up on me, and then sometimes they don't crouch the way they need to, so I wouldn't be able to take out their feet, and the sentry gun just takes them out in the back. I just love that. And as you can see, the waves were really cleared quickly. I'm impressed with how quick the waves can be completed on this map.
Hostiles eliminated. Get ready for the next wave.
Uh-huh. So it's able to kind of span, like one wave and then like 45 seconds of the next wave. So, I mean, that's pretty effective if you ask me. And again, this spot is a boon to dogs. Well, the strategy is. But as you can see, I was starting to get overwhelmed there. And, you know, my sentry gun got dead.
Hostiles eliminated.
But,
Get
you
ready
know,
for the next
fortunately,
wave.
there was a tiny amount of enemies left, and I was able to finish the wave without calling on my squad mate. But that one wave kind of made me a little bit paranoid because the dogs actually came in so hot and heavy. I was like, well, fuck, I wasn't able to defend myself against the onslaught that was the K9, you know, platoon. So, you know, I had to switch up my tactics a little bit. Now, I tried to go here, and I don't think it worked one bit.
Enemy forces inbound.
I don't think it worked one bit. So let's see. It might have, but I don't think it worked. Because I tried to see if like the window would cover me or whatnot, but it didn't. And as you can see, the vulture was it was slow to aim at some of these dogs. I was actually very surprised. So I decided like to kind of aim towards that doorway when it came to my vulture, because my vulture was already taking out the guys towards the boxes in which they used to climb up through the window. But again, under normal circumstances, I would not use the vulture in this spot. Unless like it was very high up and I had a sentry gun watching over the doorway, and then the vulture was watching over the boxes, and I would just kind of pick off the enemies. I managed to get past both of them.
Infected incoming.
But yeah, see here.
Vulture expired.
since today is my day off, I've been kind of taking it easy and enjoying myself as much as I can. These enemies actually started to give me a bit of trouble. And with the MTS, again, he fired faster shots, and that really did help me. I tried to throw stun grenades to kind of take out the locks that were near the door. And then, use the IEDs. I only, like, throw the IEDs either when I have full ammo and there's a crate outside and I just, set up double defense or something like that, or there's a team restock nearby and I see, one of those. I typically just use the IEDs to clear the way. That way I can kind of step into the team restocks, and if I'm taking damage, the team restock will heal me without many enemies being nearby. Sometimes it helps if, sometimes it does help if you're like crowded or whatnot, but it doesn't last for long, and I always make sure to use my sentry gun on the final 2 waves of the cycle before the loot wave kind of comes around. Again, the sentry gun can help you for multiple waves if you use them right. And I've been trying to actually get more of those headshot kills because you're going to be more dependent on your explosive ammo on this map than you are on a lot of other maps. Showtime actually was very much dependent on it, but that's only because I didn't have the perks that I needed. So I was kind of forced to complete certain challenges and go that far. There we go. Again, these waves are completed really fast. So I'm about to get to wave 30, and it's like a little bit over 30 minutes going into the video, and if you count the preview, I mean that's like roughly a minute and a half. So I've been really completing these quick, and not to mention the intermissions before the game. So I'm trying to think. I've just been completing these very, very fast. Yep. The sentry gun really does a lot of work here. I just love when the AI get fucked over. Yep.
Ready for the next wave.
Yeet.
Team restock. Additional support granted.
And that sentry gun actually lasted me like a whole 2 waves without disappearing. Now it's actually impressive. And yep. I don't think did I have marathon? I do. I did have marathon. I think this is another dog wave, if I remember correctly.
Hostiles inbound.
Yep, and there was a IED right there, so I wanted to make sure it didn't destroy my vulture. Once that IED went off, I'm pretty sure I went back there, yeah. And as you can see, they nearly took me out. They nearly took me out there. But again, I don't like using the vulture in a spot like this. Not that the vulture is completely ineffective, because as you can see, it's taking out the targets really quick. But it's not the lock-on. It's not always that fast. There's times when the lock-on is just starting up and it's much slower. So just keep that in mind. It's not a fix. And I just knifed the enemies there to kind of conserve some ammo. Though I really didn't need to, because there's 2 crates right here, and the next support drop is getting closer. So I didn't really need to do that. But here's the open. I tried to survive the first 2 waves of the cycle without using the sentry gun, because again, the sentry gun is practically 2 waves of support. So I try to see how far I can do on my own. That way I don't have to expend more of my normal kill streaks. And again, just using the MTS is so much quicker. And because of the field order in which I'm trying to complete, I know I'm aiming at the head far more than I usually would. So I managed to complete the field order there, and I started to use my LMG a bit. And these enemies, like even with the explosive ammo, they still kind of manage to push through and fuck you up. So yep. And from there, I kind of just pull out my sentry gun to hold on to my explosive ammo for a little bit longer than normal.
Infected incoming.
I'm actually surprised that y'all like my dances so much, man, because the dances are one of the more popular things on my channel, and I rarely do it now, considering my newer job, which has me working very late at night, and I usually dance during the nighttime. I know you see like the sunny atmosphere whenever I did try to dance or whatnot, but best believe that it was during the afternoon and not the morning. Even if it was sunny, appearances can be deceiving, motherfuckers. And as you can see, I trimmed them off to such a degree that I didn't even need to use the sentry gun, that wave. That's, those are one of the exceptions. Like, I don't use the sentry gun if I actually manage to complete the field order, within those two final waves of the cycle.
Enemy forces inbound.
But I still use it. I actually use the vulture here because, it's only useful for really one wave, and it's always good to have, some type of support on the final wave of the cycle because you never know what you're gonna get. So from there, I kind of just look towards the door, while the vulture handles the window. It's not an immediate fix because sometimes the vulture does misses some of its shots. But for the most part, it's been on it. Okay. Yoink. Yoink. And yep.
Additional support granted.
Yep. Alright. And it's another headshot challenge, which is good for me. Yep. Now you see, there was a vulture I could have gotten, but because my vulture was still active, I wanted to get another sentry gun, and that actually helped me a lot here. And not to mention, after every loot round, there's 5 seconds of intermission that are not counted, but are still in session. So, it does help to have that. Yep. And from there, again, I use my shotgun to pick off the dogs. I don't think I've gotten the Wild Widow in this gameplay, now that I think about it. And that dog just went out the window. Sometimes they do that. And it's such a hilarious animation or display to see that. It's just like, it's so funny. I still try to get those headshots when I can. Because, once the sentry gun goes away, I'm pretty much on my own. But, And, whenever the enemies take a while to kind of approach the spot, I kind of just, go out to try to lure them towards me.
Hostiles eliminated. Get ready for the next wave.
And you look at that. I hardly use my M27 at all, and I still managed to get it to like wave 24, which is insane to me. Again, it's just with the explosive ammo combined with the trigger happy. Yeah.
Enemy forces inbound.
Aw. As you can see, they started to corner me there. But, you know, that happens a lot more than you think. You don't see it happen too much this game because I've been really on it about the riot shielders, but yeah, they typically do that, and that's been the main thing that fucks me over. Again, I don't know how I managed to actually get to wave 50 plus without trigger happy. Like, that is a 1 in a million type of, gameplay. But because I got a higher wave doing this, and because it got a lot more, I should say, it had a lot more variables towards the end. That's what kind of makes this gameplay a tad bit more entertaining. But, the one where I got to wave 53 was fucking hilarious to me. For all the wrong reasons. It's much like Showtime, I never gotten, so high a wave without trigger happy. So, like, when I actually managed to do so, I was like, huh. He's like, it didn't give me, oh, yeah. And I was running for my life, and I was basically juking out everybody. Like, dude, I thought I was gonna go down there. Even if I did go down, the sentry gun would have finished them off, but still, that was so nerve-wracking because I was in such a cramped space, and trying to juke out all of those enemies while I was in that space was fucking hilarious to me.
Enemy forces inbound.
Right, and you know what? It's sentry gun time. I usually hold it until like 5 or 10 seconds into the wave. That way it gives enough time for the enemies to kind of show up. And the sentry gun has enough time to kind of recharge its batteries, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Still try to get... You see that? He was just lying in wait. And he, was not giving up those feet. That wouldn't sound right at all. And I was kind of defending the sentry gun from those guys in the window because it was focused on those guys in the doorway. And from here, I kind of made sure to throw more grenades and flashes and stuns or whatever the fuck. Again, because I could not afford to die here. And, managed to get to wave 40 very fast, I must say. So here, the kill streaks were a bit more spread out. There was a vulture over there. So I got that. Yep. And as you can see, it's a dog wave, so I actually had the vulture in conjunction with the sentry gun. And that helped me tons here. You see how they're taking them out? Absolutely crazy. It's only when you get to wave 40 plus that I recommend doing this. Because again, these guys are so fucking numerous and they're so strong that like any other type of resistance, it will just leave you fucked up. So from here, I got the team restock, didn't really need to worry about using the crate there. And I'm pretty sure the vulture lasted me for quite a bit of time because, again, I completed this wave so fast. Vultures, I think, usually last for about maybe like a minute and 30 seconds, while the sentry gun lasts like a minute and 50 seconds. Or maybe even 2 minutes, I don't know.
Infected incoming.
But either way, I still took advantage of that.
Vulture expired.
And, I still have a sentry gun left. I used more of my kill streaks than I was expecting. But as you can see, these guys were actually starting to overwhelm me here. So I had to use my IEDs a whole lot more. And then I had to complete the headshot field order. So I was trying to do that in between the waves. And for whatever reason, those guys were choosing the window a lot there. And those guys were about to take out the sentry gun, but I was not having it. And there was a lot of guys out there for whatever reason.
Hostiles eliminated. Get ready
But
for the
again,
next wave.
I had the field order completed. So you knew what time it was.
Hostile force approaching.
And it was an equipment challenge. So you know what? In retribution for this thing fucking me over, I legit just placed a sentry gun right there. Because I was so, like, I should have expected it. I should have expected it. My nose just sounded hella stuffy there. But, you know, I was expecting, once that happened, that, you know, I had to switch to my primary. Otherwise, I would have been completely glitched out. And I had to be on it with these enemies. So had I not had that sentry gun as a backup, I would have been fucked. And again, like, I was panicking because I did not want to go down anytime soon.
Weapon proficiency increased.
And you know what? Speaking of which, that's kind of what got me killed on Tremor to begin with. It gave me, like, an equipment challenge when I was on wave 40 and I already had explosive ammo, but I was trying to run away from these guys and try to bide my time, but it just was not happening. Now, I know it's a dog wave, and I had an extra vulture, so I took advantage of that. Had I actually not had that equipment challenge, I would not have needed to use all these kill streaks at once. But again, you gotta expect this game to fuck you over. So that's what it did, and I adapted. That's what makes this so fucking difficult. And my sentry gun was actually gone faster than I thought. So I literally was on edge. Because I did not want to have solely the vulture on this wave, but it wasn't like it failed me. It was actually very much fast, and you know, I do believe I took out all the remaining enemies. Again, I never liked being near that window. I don't know why I was. I was kind of just looking back and forth. These guys or whatever, these guys were just fucking around.
Hostiles eliminated.
And, you know, I managed to take them out, but at the cost of all my kill streaks again.
Additional support granted.
So I kind of had to be really, really lucky here. Now, I was praying for an equipment challenge, but I don't think it came. So when I was faced with that, I kind of had to just bide my time and see what type of wave it was. If it was a dog wave, then I'd have to use the sentry gun and vulture.
Enemy forces inbound.
But since it was that, I just used the sentry gun. Now you'll see what I actually used here when the dog wave came around, or what I actually did, I should say. What I like about this is that they're not really focused on the sentry gun at all. They're more so focused on me and trying to turn and get to me, rather than trying to shoot my sentry gun. And on waves like this, they are very attentive. But, you know, the guys from the window actually managed to destroy the sentry gun. So I had to depend on my my stun grenades, my IEDs, everything. Because they were just heading on my ass. And I was running out of ammo too. But luckily I had some I had a crate, I can't English, bro. I had a crate that was right over there. I managed to replenish my ammo. But when that sentry gun got taken out, you know, it left me in a very grim situation. So you know what I did? I did something that I was hoping to avoid.
Hostiles inbound.
It was kill streak challenge. And I used my IMS out there. But luckily, you know, it managed to complete its task and I was able to get the field order done. And like literally, I almost died there. then I switched to my LMG and just took care of business. Yeet. Now, when I saw the team restock out there, yeah, I knew because I didn't have a sentry gun to hold onto this or whatnot, it was gonna run out faster than normal. So I had to be really on guard here.
Infected incoming.
Yep. And holding out your primary weapon actually helps it last for a tiny bit longer, but it doesn't do it by a tremendous degree. So, you know, I had to really, really be on edge here, and I think I actually went down this wave. But I still had my squad mate, so even if I did go down, I still managed to have a way to revive myself. I was so paranoid. I was looking back and forth like crazy. So, like, this is why you need to have this shotgun and why you need to have trigger happy, because otherwise you're going to have to worry about reloading so much. And again, that gameplay when I didn't, when I didn't have trigger happy and I still made it to wave 50 plus was just a fucking miracle. And I don't expect anybody to have that type of experience. I think I didn't even have, like a means to actually get, I was running out of ammo so much. Like, you see how much ammo I have left. Like, I had nothing, practically. I only had 10 shotgun shells. And, you know, I went back here. Utterly fucking crazy. And this was a dog wave. I knew it was going to be a dog wave because it was the last wave in the cycle and no dogs had shown up yet. And there was no type of, like, kill streak challenge. So you know what I did? I ran my ass over here. And, you know, I took advantage of using marathon and speed. And I just fucking booked it. I used that vulture. I fucking booked it. Now, when running towards this area, there's going to be a lot of guys towards this location right over here. And, you know, I was trying to take the dog. I don't know how, but I managed to juke out that dog there. The dog just didn't pay me in no mind. And, you know, I had to kind of, you know, run in certain areas with the cover. But luckily I had a support drop from the vulture that was taking out so many of these enemies. So I was very fortunate about that. But again, like, this was so nerve-wracking for me. That the vulture was helping me to a tremendous degree changed to nothing. The stress behind this, like, if there were dogs, oh man, there were so many dogs, and I tried to, like, let the vulture take care of as many enemies as possible, but I didn't want it to do that. And, you know, somehow my guy actually managed to sort of, like, revive me there. I have no idea how he managed to do that, but I was fucking, like, I was panicking. I thought I was gonna die there. And yeah. You know, when I actually it's funny, when I actually went down, you actually get 5 bullets extra of your ammo, which was very beneficial, though I didn't really need it all that much. But you'll tend to notice it more when you're like doing, like, team-based safeguard. And as you can see, I was only able to get 2 kill streaks per wave here, so my shelf life was very low. I'm still surprised that I managed to get to wave 54. But, you know, it was a kill streak challenge, and since I was going to complete it this wave, I had no qualms with using that shit. Because at least it wouldn't have been an equipment challenge on the next wave or something like that. You have to always try to take them out from the window. And from here I kind of made sure that There weren't a lot of enemies that kind of came from me that way. It already taken out like most of the enemies thus far. Yeah, I was just trying to find the last one. And the last one was kind of being very elusive. And it was forcing me to use more of my explosive ammo and use it for longer when I should have had it like for shorter. But, you know, I still had the sentry gun still active, so I used that to kind of hold on to it for a little while longer. It saved me some time.
Large hostile force
Yep.
approaching.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And, you know, I was in that corner. And, at this point, I said stop. I said to myself, I was going to stop using that fucking LMG. And you see, I was kind of getting tore up there. So had I used my LMG, I would have been in the shits for sure. And, you know, my sentry gun was gone, but I still managed to recover quickly and get back into the spot. I did manage to take out a good amount of these guys before this wave managed to end. But, you know, it is what it is. I would have loved to have gotten to wave 55, but again, like, beggars cannot be choosers, and this was just a blast. You know, the moment I actually lost the things that kind of gave me a form of security, I actually had more fun trying to survive, even though it was terrifying. It's just the type of player I am. For whatever reason, they were stacked up towards that window more so than in the doorway. But I still didn't take my eyes off them, you know what I mean?
Hostiles eliminated. Get ready for the next wave.
And here, this fucking wave, oh my goodness. You know, I did the same thing that I did when I was on, I believe, wave 50, and I used my Vulture, and I actually, like, I held out for longer than I expected. And it wasn't a dog wave. It wasn't a dog wave. And at this point, I just said, fuck it, I'm fucking booking it. But I didn't make the same mistake I did last time where I went into that open area. And here's another thing to note. These enemies will go prone trying to take you out. And I was literally, like, trapped between so many different areas. Like, these guys were firing at me from all angles, bro. And I was just trying to heal up, and they just kept coming, bro. So, like, I had to find every type of cover possible. But, you know, I was booking it. I was really, like, trying to cover between these two areas. And I was doing a really good job, but in the end, the numbers kind of caught up with me. I slipped, like, missing one of my, you know, the Vulture was helping me a little bit, but I was still doing the bulk of the work. But again, this was so tough to try to defend. And, you know, it reminded me much of, like, my strategy for Gold Rush. But, you know, in the end, I died, you know. That one guy fucked me up in the back. And I think, yeah, there wasn't that many of them left, but he just managed to take me out when my back was turned. But I could have probably passed that wave had, you know, I'd been more attentive. But I hope you guys enjoyed and faced the mountain.